Again, my name is Kristen Lathrop, and I'm the Director of Admission here at Proctor. And I have 5 students with me tonight, as well as Megan Hardy, our Dean of Wellness. And we have a good program in store tonight. We will start by showing you a little slideshow just to give you a sense of our campus if you have not been here, followed by a lot of time for question and answer of our students. So we thank you for being here. And let's see, two things to remind you of. One, it's recorded. If you just jumped on, this will be recorded and we'll post it on our website so that everyone can watch again later. And 2 is when we get to the questions section, we'd like you to put them into the chat for everyone to read, and Megan and I will help sort through those questions and feed them to our students. So without further ado, I think that we are going to shift into the slideshow and get us going. So give me a moment here while I share my screen. Right. I think we've got it. Can you guys see that? Yeah, great. Okay, so first off, again, this is our student life panel, and Proctor, our motto is learn to live, live to learn. So we're going to talk about all of that here at Proctor tonight. And I am hosting with Megan Hardy, Dean of Wellness, and she's also the 10th grade class dean. And so she will jump in actually now. So Megan, now it's your turn. You get to do the rest. Get off mute.
Trying. Okay, there we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Super happy that you guys could all join us tonight. And as Kristen said, this is our student life panel. And the way I like to describe student life here is everything that happens outside of our classroom setting. And so I know some of you have jumped on the academic panel that we had and off-campus panels. And this one's going to deal with like what life is like at boarding school, whether you're a day student or a residential student. So I'm going to go to that next slide, Kristen.
Yep.
Great. Thank you. So, one of the things, this is my 24th year at Proctor, and one of the things that I appreciate the most about our educational model is that we are working towards a common goal, which is creating a great sense of community. And within that, growing good, healthy humans that are learning who they are and who they want to be in our world and the way that relates to community. And so, the mission is pretty simple, right? Is that linking individuals to community and allowing them to grow and find their full potential. But at the same time, we recognize that everybody's journey is unique. And that makes it a really complex system with lots of moving parts, but also really exciting to be a part of. So, all right, next slide, Kristen. So this little word jumble, I love it because it shows you lots of pieces of our life outside of the classroom. But it can be a little overwhelming to look at. But as you can see, we have dorms on campus. Obviously, we spend some time in our advisories. We have a really strong advisory program here. We have opportunities for student leadership. The arts play a role in what we do. We orchestrate our schedule to try and maximize sleep time for our kids, even though it doesn't always feel that way. We have opportunities for clubs, athletics. We have full-time support of our students from a well-being perspective. So there's really a lot that goes into supporting our students and their journey outside of the classroom. So Kristen, you want to talk a little bit about the dorms? You want to just talk about the next slide or two?
Yeah. So we thought we would just show you a few pictures for those of you who haven't been here. So this is one of our dorms. The average size, as you see, is 12, but they range in size from 5 students up to 18 students. And we have, I believe, 20 dorms in total. So our goal is that these are family style, small dorms so that the students are getting to know each other. And you guys can ask them questions about that tonight. And they all have faculty members who live in them. The larger ones have 2 faculty apartments, smaller ones have 1. And what else am I forgetting? So they're mixed in ages as well. So we purposely have older students with younger students, not crazy, not 9th with 12th, but kind of everything you could imagine closer in age. So that there's some good mentorship between older and younger and returning and new. And one other cool picture of our campus. I like this one at night in the winter. And then on to some of our afternoon activities are next. You want to jump in, Megan?
Sure. So this slide just gives us a wide range of activities that we see on campus. We have a dance program, kayaking, we have our traditional sports that are out there, but then we also support a wide variety of other options for our kids in our afternoon activity. And every student is required to be in an afternoon activity. And we think that that's a really important part of their well-being, because sometimes it involves them trying something new, but also it's a way for them to get a little bit of activity into their day and have those happy chemicals that come from moving your body a little bit. So
Arts.
An example of our arts program.
So yeah, performing arts tend to be an option that you could do in the afternoon as well. So whether it's theater or dance or the band, both vocal and instrumental. So we include that. Weekends.
Yeah, so we have a pretty vibrant student activities program, and we refer to it as Weekend Love, because everybody looks forward to having a little time off from classes and being able to engage in fun stuff, which you'll hear from our students, like what their favorite things are on the weekends. But it's a combination of effort of adults in the community and students. And we find, obviously, that the most impactful events that we usually run are the ones that are student initiated. And they're really, really fun to participate in as an adult. I have to say, it's one of my favorite things. So.
Yeah, and then this is a picture of one of our community spaces that I think Griffin probably can speak to later. But it's called the Coffee House or the Community House. I don't know what you guys are calling it this year, but really fun space to hang out with art and music and food on the weekends.
So where student activity or student life fits in is if we look at this sort of day in the life of a student, on the left-hand side of this slide is showing us our typical academic schedule. So we have hour-long blocks. We'll rotate through a different set of classes every day. But the right-hand side is where I think the magic really happens at Proctor, and where we really encourage students to become part of their community. And so after sports and activities, there's an opportunity for dinner in the dining hall, and then that chunk of free time happens. And to be honest, during the week, that free time gets eaten up a lot with things like extra help. So students can access extra help during that time, which is optional, but many students do because they're really conscious about their academics. But if they have a night where they don't need to access that, that is a chance to hang out with friends or join a club or something like that. And then we move into our study hall time. And then after that, there's a little bit of free time. On the weekends, this schedule's a little bit different. So there's more access to free time for engaging in some of like the fun student activity stuff. So we'll get to that because we want to hear from our kids. So
yeah, so I think the next slide is going to be starting our introduction. So this is your key, Lila. I believe you're going to be first. So we'll let the students introduce themselves, and then after that, we'll get into questions. Here we go.
Okay, just doing like where we're from and what we do.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'm Lila. I'm a two-year sophomore. I'm a boarding student. I'm from Massachusetts. I am on JV soccer and JV tennis. I'm a USSA FIS ski racer. I'm a sophomore student rep, a math first aid tutor, a green key leader, and a member of the wellness club.
Nice, thank you. Griffin.
Hey, I'm Griffin. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I'm a four-year senior, and I'm also a boarder. Some of the activities that I do on campus, I play JV soccer. I run varsity track. I am part of the ski patrol in the winter. I am one of the managers for the student run coffee house. And I went on an off-campus program called Ocean, but I feel like that has already been talked about. But yeah.
Thank you. And wait, I got to go back. And you're made a boat?
Oh yeah, and I'm currently making a boat in one of our classes, boat building class.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, Lily.
Hi everyone, I'm Lily. I'm from Beijing and I'm a 4-year senior. I'm a boarder. I live on campus. I was a dorm leader. I am also working in math first aid, same as Lila, and I do theater in the fall and spring. I do both. I'm both acting and doing behind the scene, the stage crew, building sets, and I do freestyle skiing in the winter. Yeah. And I love art. I'm always painting in the art studio in my free time.
Thank you. Next, we have Aaron.
Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm a 2-year sophomore. I am a boarder. I'm from the Bronx in New York. I'm a part of the varsity football team. I do that in the fall. In the winter, I do the winter musical, and in the spring, I play varsity baseball.
Awesome. Thank you. Last but not least, Brooke.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brooke. I'm a junior. I'm a 3-year junior. I'm a day student, so I'm from New London, and I do crew, which is rowing in the spring and the fall. And I've done Nordic for the past couple of years, but this year I'm headed on mountain classroom in the winter.
Awesome. Thank you. So I think, yeah, that is the end of our slideshow. So I'm going to look for some questions in the chat and we're going to get the fun stuff going. So hopefully families out there, please don't be shy. Ask your questions of our students, any aspect of life outside the classroom.
Do you want me to get started with a few questions?
Go for it, Megan.
And while
Yep.
people are thinking, maybe it'll trigger some things from them. So I'm wondering if one of you or a couple of you want to talk about your favorite thing to do on the weekends. Like, is there a weekend event that stands out to you or something that you've really enjoyed participating in the time outside the classroom?
I know one thing that I really enjoyed as a day student, it's fun to stay on campus with the rest of the boarders because you have that ability. And we had a all school capture the flag game, which was super fun, and an all school manhunt. And those were some really fun games, I think organized by our student leader, Zoe, which was really fun.
Anybody else have something that stands out to them that's been a favorite event?
I like the trips into town to get brunch with friends. I think that's a really fun trip.
Thank you.
Excellent.
How about dances? Fun. Hopefully we have dances. Casino night in the winter is kind of crazy.
We have some questions rolling in, Kristen, so I'm just going to pick a few. So
Okay.
So it said, one of them says, it sounds like it's a pretty packed daily schedule. Do you get enough downtime?
I would say it all kind of depends on how you can organize your time, which I think Proctor does a really good job at, like, helping us build that skill. So if you use your time wisely, you kind of get all your work done before study hall, or get an hour into study hall and then you have the rest of the night off. And that's always nice when it happens. So it really kind of depends on who the person is and what type of planning they can do ahead.
And also I would like to add on, so like it is like going to a boarding school, it's definitely like, because you spend your whole life, your whole like everyday life here. So it's definitely a lot of balancing, like Griffin said, but also it's like, it's kind of like this fulfillment where you have academics and you have sports, and sometimes you find like, there's social time for socializing in the sport, like you meet people, and then like afterwards they're like you always feel like there's a lot of different activities going on campus with like different clubs and different like just different like groups of people, but it's like you find fulfillment in it too. And whenever there's also activities that are say like more active, intense, like the all school capture the flag, and there's also ones like on the weekend where you could hang out at the coffee house. It's like a smaller, closer space where if you want more downtime, but you still want to be with people, those are all great options. So yeah.
Do you feel like your downtime is also relative to maybe like what sport you play or what time you are in the term? You know, it's like earlier versus middle versus later in the term.
Definitely, it depends on the intensity of like the classes that you choose. Like lower as for like lower classmen, since most of you don't get a lot of choices, there's a lot of requirement, some requirement. So and also it depends if you're like a very serious art athlete or if you're doing more like recreational sports or activity. Yeah, definitely.
Thanks, you guys. Anyone else to add to that one, or can we move on to the next one? Next one. Okay. Oh, go ahead, Lila.
Well, I was just gonna say a lot of people have like a free block or learning lab block or an art block where they can either get homework done or just have some downtime built into their schedule a couple times a week too, which is just in addition to that.
Yeah, that's a good point. You may have a study block, so you can get some work done then, and gives you free time later, right? If it's all about figuring out your time management. So that was a good question. I saw a bunch right around that similar topic. How about, so this is kind of a general one, but I think a good question. What does Proctor do to acclimate the freshmen and integrate them into the community? So, I mean, there's certainly things that we're doing outside of the classroom in terms of integrating students. So maybe some of you guys can remember those. Does anyone want to jump in with a?
I can do this one.
Okay.
Well, before school even starts, all incoming students, regardless of your grade, have to go on wilderness orientation. So you go on like a 4-night backpacking trip with all incoming students, as well as usually one returning student and a couple faculty members. So walking onto campus, you already have 5 the first kind of week or so, there's usually a meeting or two or an activity where the whole dorm gets to know each other. So in my freshman dorm, the first night we all just went around and introduced ourselves, and then the next night our dorm parents baked us cookies, and we all just spent like half an hour after we did our homework decorating cookies and talking and getting to know each other and figuring out like, oh, like who's on what sport together, who goes to the same like library on the same nights and that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Can others think of other ways that you felt you were integrating into the community? You guys remember back that far?
I feel like once you step into the school as like a new student, there are so many different like from academics to afternoon activity to weekend activity. There's so many different like support groups on different scales, like from advisory to like dorm, like Lila was talking about, like almost like every place that you go to in the school or like every like different time period you're at, there is a different smaller tight-knit community and like really trusted adults where you can always like have genuine conversations with, like have questions to ask. And like I'm like really good friends with all my teachers and my advisor and coach. Yeah, so you definitely feel the support once you like step in. For a second you step in the campus. Yeah,
I appreciate that, Lily.
Yeah, the other thing that we do too is every freshman's enrolled in freshman seminar, which is a term-long course that happens in the fall, and that's the whole purpose of that class. So there's no homework, no tests. Kids show up every day. And while there's a curriculum that we run through, we just kind of meet them where they are in that moment. And so we answer a lot of questions about like, how does this work? Or what do you do if this? Help them acclimate to the workload, help troubleshoot and work through problems. Maybe they're having an issue with their roommate, or they're not sure how to talk to their advisor about something. So that's something that I found to be a good support for our incoming kids. And then this year we've started class meetings, which is new. We have a class dean structure this year. And so the 9th grade class will meet every other week for one of our assembly periods as a class. And so they're getting to know each other also. So lots of ways that we get them settled and off and going. So
Yeah. I was going to say, maybe we could just explain how advisory works, because these are all really good topics that are sort of about like the start of the year and supporting students from the beginning. So wondering if maybe Aaron or Brooke would jump in and explain how advisory works.
So basically before you come here, you're giving someone that's like you're giving someone so advisory is basically a group of people and a teacher who basically advises you. And that group of people is basically like your family at Proctor. And it's like you get to know them throughout like the entire year. Like last year, I had 2 seniors in my advisory that I got really close with. And then this year we got two new students. So it's like every year the advisory changes, and it's like just adjusting. It's like giving new people, like getting to know people who've been here before.
Thank you. That's great. And here's one that I think everyone could answer, a really good question, again, about sort of the start of year. So thinking back to when you guys were new coming to Proctor, what is the best piece of advice you wish you had or were told entering Proctor that you would like to tell incoming students? So you might need to think about that one, but that's a good one that I'm hoping to hear from each of you on this. Jump in when you're ready.
I would definitely say, like, just try as much things as possible, because a lot of times students will start here and they'll have like one idea in mind that they're going to be like, they're going to focus on skiing, but then they try something new like theater and they fall in love with that. So you definitely have to try like a variety of things. And then at the same time, you're building different connections with different people. And high school is the time to try all these things to figure out what you're interested in for the future. So definitely try new things.
For new students, I would say just everyone is also nervous. Like, no one's gonna think you're weird for going to a new club. No one's gonna think like that it's anything different, that you're trying new things too. And like Brooke said, like it's a really great time to do that. And everyone's nervous. Everyone's like nervous and excited for this. So it's just like go out there and like try new things, have fun.
It could also be about a specific thing that you've done that's been awesome or something. You guys could think of that.
it's funny, like this is such a great question. And I actually have a list on my phone because I ask students this all the time and just keep a running list of their responses about tips for new students. So I'll
Nice.
be interested to see if some of you come up with some other ones that's on this list.
How about teachers and interacting? You guys have said some stuff already. I'm leading the question.
I would say build a good relationship with your teacher, because just getting to know them and getting to know a classroom environment is just good, and getting to know your teacher and having them like you and you liking them as well. Like it's just a good environment for the classroom.
Thanks, Aaron.
I would also add on to like an advice and building off of teachers is like never be hesitant to ask anything, like because for example, like my advisor and I, Jen Summers, like at first I was like, okay, I know she's an adult, like and she lives off campus. A lot of the advisors live on campus, and I would have questions about like very specific like life, like living on here, like to the most like random like appliances, like what I should bring, stuff like that, and um or like what classes I should take and what sports I should try. Because when I first came here, I there's a lot of like new sports that I wasn't exposed to in the city, and from like a wide range of questions like that I would think like, why would I ask this person that I completely don't know, this adult? And but like advisors and most teachers, they're always like there for you for any sort of question, from like personal life to if you just want to like complain if you had a bad day and you want to hug, and or if sometimes we would ask our advisor to bring us like snacks and do advisory occasionally. So it's those kind of like interactions where like never be hesitant to like talk to someone and ask. Yeah.
Thank
Reach
you.
out. Yeah.
You want to add anything, Griffin? Did you think of something?
About the faculty
No, just like advice.
advice, I would definitely say just kind of do what feels right to you. Just kind of like, again, I think this is already said, just like everyone's new. Like don't be like you're all in a new environment. But I really think that the really pursue the classes that you want to take and the activities that you want to take, because those kind of are what build us as people. So they're kind of like really important to do. And I feel like some of the students that I've met from other schools don't really get to do that as much as Proctor students do. So every time I am introduced with a new freshman, like I always say, like, hey, do what you want to do, like do everything. That's basically what I would give the advice for.
Nice. That's great. Thank you guys. It's fun to hear. I'm going to answer a question really quickly that came through the chat about, do you stay with your advisor? So the students are assigned an advisor, and if they feel like it's a good connection, then they can stay with them. And if they feel like, oh, I've met, someone else that I've connected with stronger, you can request to shift out, and then hopefully you stay with that person the rest of your time. So it tends to be a pretty long-term, relationship, right? Like mentorship and advisor. So just wanted to answer that. I thought I might shift to talking about athletics and afternoon activities a little bit, performing arts as well. There was a question about, do you have practice every day? And then when are game days? So maybe, there are some differences in what we do, but also some similarities. So anyone want to jump in on the basics?
Yeah, so basically there's a half day on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And so those are the major focus for game days because of travel to other schools and stuff like that. So those are mostly the game days. Sometimes they'll be on a Monday or a Friday, but that really depends on like the team you're playing against. And then practices are there are 6 days a week, so Monday through Saturday, and including games too.
So another question came in about missing class. The question was specifically about skiing, but it's also like some of the other sports will miss class. So how do you guys address that if your team is leaving and you're going to miss a couple classes or a day or two sometimes? How does that work?
For skiing specific, we have an academic coordinator who works with us. So 2 weeks ago, the whole ski team got together and we had a meeting and we signed an agreement that is, if our grades are not kind of where they were in the fall, and if our assignments are not turned in, so if we have any missing work, we're not allowed to travel and miss school for races. And because like I'm on the USSA team and I was on that last year, and we do miss more school than other teams do. Obviously, we try to miss as little as possible, but for traveling and for camps and stuff, we are often on the road. We have academic coordinator, and she helps us email all of our teachers, copy our advisor, just let everyone know when we're going to be out, and as well as getting all the work we need to do. And then when we are on ski trips, we have 2 or 3 hours a day, usually in the evening, of study hall. So just getting work done. A lot of times the kids on your team are in the same classes as you, so you can kind of work together on that. And in the winter, a lot of teachers will, if we're doing group projects, we'll put skiers in one group so you can work on that on the road. And how does the school support you? That's like the academic coordinator, and just being open in communication with everybody, parents, advisors, coaches, teachers, you, on what needs to happen and what needs to be done to be a student and an athlete.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm assuming, I bet Brooks missed some, I bet Aaron's missed some. Don't know about the rest of you guys, but communication, would you guys agree? Communicating. And I don't know if you guys want to add how your teachers may have worked with you on when you have missed something, maybe Aaron or Brooke. I'm assuming you guys have missed, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so for rowing, a lot of times regattas will be on Saturdays. And last spring I missed a lot of Saturday classes. So we only have 2 classes on Saturday, but for those classes, I would talk with the teacher beforehand. Excuse me, beforehand, let them know that I'd be gone and figure out the best way to like move on from there, whether it's to get notes from another student in the class and kind of learn that way, or sometimes teachers will record a class, especially for math class, so you watch those and then you fill in the notes, or go to an extra help and catch up on the stuff that you need to. That's pretty much the ways to do it.
Thank you. So I'm going to shift a little. There's a good question that has come in. So the question is, what is something that you can do at Proctor that you might not find at other high schools? So some of those key things, those Proctor things.
There's a few of those qualities that define us. But one of them I would definitely say is like the variety of things that we can choose from classes to activities. Like, for example, I do ski patrol at Proctor's very own like ski hill, and I've kind of took it to just kind of relax and just ski around. But then I actually started learning a lot about how like mountain management and stuff like that, and actually like CPR and stop the bleed, of course. But definitely the kind of skills and variety of activities that Proctor offers to students definitely sets us apart from like the rest, really.
Thank you. That's a good answer. Anyone else want to jump in with something that is unique to Proctor that you think is unique anyway?
I think our dorms.
Sorry, you can go, Lila.
I think as a boarding student, I was at a different boarding school before this, and I think the dorms and their size and just how close everyone is really special within that. It's kind of like another like family away from home. Like my dorm mom has a dog, and sometimes we all just go and we sit in her living room, and she'll like bake us cookies, or right now we're doing a lot of apple kind of things because it's fall, and we'll just talk about our weeks. Sometimes we watch movies, we have birthday parties within the dorm, and just how close you and your roommate and the girls down the hall, everyone is really special. And it's different from other schools I've been at with bigger dorms.
I was gonna talk about the off campuses because that's definitely a big focus. I know you guys did a panel on that before, but just kind of the whole idea of spending a term abroad and living and learning in the same area that's like completely unique to the area, and just like getting kind of away from the regular school kind of life of like wake up, go to classes, and like it being super interactive and just like a really, really unique experience that you can carry on like the rest of your life with.
Has anyone done the polar plunge? Lily?
I'm gonna talk about that, but I want to put it behind because it's less serious. But I would say like our outdoor spirit, and there's a lot of schools that have different like outdoor programs, but like at our school, it's one of the main like what we're known for, like mountain biking, like outing club and polar plunges in the winter, where it's usually towards the spring when the ice are thinner on the lakes, and faculty, usually Alan McIntyre, like a few faculty will drive a van to the Elbow Pond, to the pond where they would cut open a hole inside the ice, and you dip in. You just full send, you jump in, and then you go to the sauna place, and you could do a few more runs and dip and sauna, dip sauna. So that's definitely one thing that's special about Proctor.
Yes, thank you. And you've done that, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. I don't know what the percentage is on that polar plunge, but what do you guys think? 10, 20%? I don't know.
I think 20,
Yeah,
20%.
I like it. Not me, but good for you guys. Megan, do you want to jump in with next question? Do you have any, what do you think we should jump to here?
Sure. One of the ones that I like is, what does the school do to initiate group activities or better engage the community with one another? So how do you think what do you think Proctor does to encourage you guys to get to know each other? Like outside of advisory and orientation?
For me, the first thing that comes to mind is our community days, which is every term, a day that you have the option to do different activities. Sometimes they're more centered around like social justice issues. Sometimes they're more wellness centered, but you get to choose if like what you want to do for the day and get put into a group with people who want to do that. So for me, I've gone on a lot of different hikes. I've done a couple different meditation groups. My roommate has really enjoyed doing the sewing ones and just talking and sewing with people and learning from other kids who love to sew. And that kind of break from our regular week to mix with people who you might not have classes with, who you might not be in sports with, just to bond over a common interest or learning something new together.
I kind of go off that and talk about project period, which happens in the spring. It's like the first week back after is that spring break? Yeah, spring break, I think. And it's a week long where you're in a group and you get to kind of choose your activity, and there's all sorts of different options. So like there's a sewing one that Lila kind of talked about, and then there's like dog sledding and like hiking Mount Washington, and kind of all in between, like fly tying. I did forensics one last year, which was really cool with Megan. And so you get to bond with a really small group of people and go on all sorts of adventures. And like we did a escape room, which was really fun in forensics. And I did another one that was hiking in the up north, and that was super fun. And you go out to dinner, and it's just like a really great way to start your spring term.
Anyone else have anything that they can think of? I think one of the things that I think of is like what's coming up this weekend, which is Holderness weekend, right? Like getting people excited, like behind a common cause, and seeing kids mix in different groups and making banners and coming up with cheers and all that sort of stuff. So that's kind of fun. There was a question about dorm life. Let me find it. And it was kind of like the gist of the question was like, what's dorm life like when you first move in, or like when you first started living in the dorm?
And if there's anyone that can also answer, what if you are an introvert or you're a person who really needs your own space? And maybe it's not you guys, but if you know someone, like, can you find that time and space? So dorm life and finding time for yourself and space.
I'll start with the introvert, because like I don't know, I'm sometimes like, a lot of times I'm an introvert. I find it like we have, our dorms are usually like doubles, and sometimes there's also singles. If you really like would prefer your own living space, it's you could apply for a single room. And other than that, I spend a lot of time in the library. not just for like study, but it's just like a very cozy, warm, comfortable place that you could like hang out quietly in. And there's if you're worried that you're an introvert, I'm pretty sure like there'll be another large percentage of students who are also like you. So you'll find friends who like to do similar activities. Yeah.
I can add on the first year of living in a dorm. I think Proctor does a really good job with finding kids who kind of have similar interests and also kind of are compatible with each other. For example, most of the kids, actually almost all the kids that I lived in the same dorm with, who were also in my grade, I am still best friends with all of them, and we all live in the same dorm again this year. So I would say the first week is usually a little bit tough, especially because it's your first time away, like for a lot of people, first time away from home. But Proctor does from the dorm parents and also just like the activities being offered, does a really good job at keeping kids like mind off of things. So you don't really get stuck in that homesickness mindset, and you really kind of get put into like, you're busy, you have things to look forward to, like just have fun in this moment. And so dorm life, I would definitely say, is really, really fun first year at a school.
Thank you.
Just to quickly build off of what Griffin was saying, they do a pretty good job of matching roommates and people within dorms with similar activities or similar interests. So like my room, you fill out a form, and my roommate and I both have similar sports and also similar ways that we like to like sleep and noise levels, that kind of stuff within our room. And I'm still with her this year. This is our second year, just like matching that kind of stuff. So I'd say it's a little bit more welcoming and just kind of if you both go into it wanting the same thing, it's easier too.
Thanks, Lila. There was a quick question that we can answer, and then Megan, will you come up with another one? But the quick question to answer is, Brooke mentioned a couple Saturday classes, and do all students have Saturday classes? So Brooke, do you want to finish that with explaining Saturdays for folks?
Yeah, sure. So normal school days, so Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. It's the set schedule. You have 5 classes, and then the rest of the 5 classes are split between Wednesday and Saturday. So you have 3 classes on Wednesday and 2 classes on Saturday. And they both start later. So there's a sleep in. I'm pretty sure classes start at 9 on Saturday and like 8:40 on Wednesdays. And so that's for like games on Wednesday, so you can have more time for sports practice. And a lot of times Saturday classes, like everyone gets pretty scared about that. They're like, oh no, classes on Saturday, but they'll typically be more like relaxed. And like I know in my Spanish class last year, like anytime we had a Saturday class, you'd be like, oh, we're just gonna like chill and watch a movie like in Spanish, or it'll be a lot of this like hardcore, and getting that extra sleep in is definitely really nice.
Thank you. Yeah, so most Saturdays we have class. There are a few that we don't. If so, on a SAT day is a really large percentage of students are taking SATs. The rest of the community, we did some different programming that day, so we had no classes that day. So it is nice to mix it up with a couple Saturdays in the fall anyway, where we didn't have those Saturday classes, but you can kind of just assume that you're going to be busy on Saturday morning for the most part. We did have one sleep in this year, which was awesome, and had nothing. But yeah, I think the students get used to it. So I have a question that hasn't really come up yet, but I'm going to put Lily on the spot and just ask to share a little bit more about the performing arts and those opportunities that you have, because those are part of the afternoon programming. That's an option.
I do more of the theater part. I'm kind of illiterate in music. But yeah, we have for theater, we have from doing costumes to building sets, building props on stage to actors, of course. And in the fall and spring, we usually have a play, and in the winter we usually do musical because it's one of the longer terms and have more time to prepare. And I don't know what else to say about it. I remember doing like, because I'd been both on stage and behind the scene. I remember doing Shrek the musical my sophomore year, and it was a lot of like huge sets, like huge building, like hands-on. We're using screwdrivers, we're using hammers, we're using saws and all sorts of stuff. And it's a lot of like coordinating between the different directors, and lots of hands-on work, like painting too. So that was a lot of fun, and it came out really good. It was like full house every night when we had the musical, when we had the show. And otherwise, yeah, the theater is just a very like fun, creative space. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I would just add, you're talking about the set design. There's also opportunities for students to do the sound and light and
Oh,
lights.
yeah.
Learn those as well. So, but yeah, I think you covered most of it. And so then there is the jazz rock band that also, and they do some recording. So that's another option for students if they're more into the singing or instrumental as well, and dance.
And
So
Lily,
they all have performances at the end of each term.
weren't there students that in Shrek also played the musical score? It was like students playing the music for that musical.
And we also had the whole baseball team to join for Shrek, because who were they? They were the guys, and I forgot the
Lord
character name.
Farquaad's.
Yeah.
The Lord for yes. And
Yeah.
so it's also a very flexible space, because we always have, like this term when we did the fall play, we just finished the show last weekend. There was like half of the people on the crew are people who are also in other sport commitment when they really want to be on stage, and maybe they want a smaller role, they can also participate. So it's like we're always welcome. Like it's almost with any, like a lot of different sports activity, other than I say like varsity, it's a little more intense, but it's very flexible. And I've never been on stage acting before I came here. I did behind the scenes and set crew at first, and then I was talked into being a part, taking a role on stage, and it was very fun. Yeah, definitely try out new things. Yeah.
Thanks. So I have two things that we haven't really gotten to yet that I think are important to cover. And so I'm going to prime them so you can think about them a little bit and then share. The first one is talking about spaces where students hang out that's outside of the dorm and not the classroom, right? And so like Griffin, you mentioned the coffee house, but I want you guys to talk a little bit about those different spaces on campus. And then the second one that I'm surprised is not in here is about the dining hall, right? And like that sort of stuff, and like what's around here as far as food. So why don't we start by tackling like where do students hang out when they're not in class and, you know, not involved in a particular activity?
Well,
The play. Well,
you go first. You go first.
well, the place that like comes to my mind instantly is the Wise. Like, the Wise is like the place, the student hangout spot where students are like, where it has a console there, 2 ping pong tables, air hockey, and then there's a second floor with foosball and pool. So that's just like the place where students want to go hang out. Like if it's like a Saturday night, or like you, or after you're done with like afternoon activities and you coming out at dinner, like people just go there, and that's where all the dances take place as well.
One other space on campus is the coffee house, which is just kind of a student run coffee house. So there's like coffee, hot cocoa, waffles, ice cream, soda being sold to students. And also it's, I would say, definitely more one of the quieter places on campus during the weekend. It's really just kind of a place for people to kind of just pop in, see what's happening, join whatever group discussions happening, and then either stay or leave. And yeah, it's just a pretty chill place.
Yeah.
Lots of kids too, I would say, hang out in the lobbies of the field house, like on the glass areas of the gym, just kind of seeing what's in there. Where else? The turf, if it's nice out, people are out hanging on the turf, listening to music, playing games.
Dining hall. They hang out
Yeah,
in the
dining hall. Yeah, so let's talk about the
football.
dining hall.
Football on Sundays, big screen,
Oh, yeah.
hang out, eat.
Yeah. So does anyone want to talk about their favorite meal in the dining hall? What's your favorite meal?
I was just gonna say, because I'm a day student, I just wanted to like talk about how that works with eating. So basically, we can go to all meals as a day student. So we can go to breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and which is great because a lot of times my practice will end pretty much as dinner is starting, and then our whole team goes in. We all eat. We have like a team dinner in there, and also throughout the day, the dining hall is open. And you can go in and grab some cereal or some toast or a sandwich. And also, there's a couple of classes that meet in there, and you can hang out with your friends, get a drink while you do your homework if you have a free block. And it's just kind of another place to hang out. And I'd say my favorite meal is definitely their pizza nights are really good, and also their garlic pasta is really good.
I can build on that. I'm gluten free, so my favorite thing that the dining hall does is the gluten free. It's sometimes a breakfast option, and it's usually there for Sunday brunch, and it's just really good.
Lila, you glitched out. What was it? That's your favorite?
Oh, I was just saying, I'm gluten free, and the dining hall does a really good job of making sure that I always have usually two options, honestly, for dinner, like the gluten free version of whatever everyone else is having. And my favorite thing that they make is the gluten free French toast, which is usually a breakfast, but pretty much always a brunch option.
Thanks. Yeah, I didn't hear that.
I also had to add on like to dining hall favorite meal. We have like Indigenous Peoples Day when we make special, like we have like flatbread, like I can't name all the names.
Flatbread,
But yeah, just like I love the flatbread. That's why I remember it. And we also have Hispanic Day, and then Lunar New Year. The Asian kids will come together to coordinate with the dining hall staff to make our own menus and make some Asian food. And it's always like just so cool that we get to have all these culture in our very own dining hall. Yeah.
I also want to add that we have a pizza oven at Proctor, and they make really good pizza, and I'm also gluten-free, and they do a very good job with gluten-free pizza as well. So like the pizza, whenever it's pizza day, it's a good day.
Nice. Thanks. There's also just a ton of choice. I think that's what I like. I'm gonna jump in. There's so many choices that you can always find something to eat, which they're amazing. They love working. They're part of our family, the cooks, and they know everyone. We all know each other's names, and they're making everything on their homemade. They crack all the eggs, which is really impressive for the eggs they offer every morning. No box eggs. So it's pretty awesome. So we're getting close to the end, and I see, I'm thinking we might be able to do 2 more questions. I see one that just came in. I thought we could cover. So the question is, and then gonna give you a question. And then the last one is if you could think of like, I don't know, what you love about Proctor, or something like special, or the best thing you've done, or something like that. And it could be anything. Just think of that in your head. But the question is there regular school-wide activities? I heard people mention capture the flag. Are those normal or special? It's kind of a tricky question.
Most school-wide activities are usually coordinated by school leader Zoe, and they're fairly common. Like, and then also Weekend Love, stuff like that. Where like there's most of the time every weekend there's something going on where like they invite you to go over. like capture the flag, manhunt. There's also the Proctor purge that's happening this week as well. That so like they are common, but it's not it and it's always it's you. So it's like they want to encourage people to join these things and just get to know everyone because it's a way for people to get to know each other.
Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, so 3 minutes left. Do you guys think, do you guys have an answer of something you love or, favorite thing you've done here before we sign off?
I can build on to the school-wide
Okay. Yeah,
activities.
okay.
Like Aaron said, like the activity itself will probably only happen once or twice a year, but there are always activities going on. And I'm a student representative, so I do a little bit with just kind of planning things and working with different teachers, but there's also a student activities club that people join, and usually like Google Forms going out regularly to see what people in the community want to do. And I think like some of the popular ones are like capture the flag and like the dance, but they also do different clubs will put on activities on the weekends or in the evenings and stuff too.
Thank you. That's helpful to know. All right. Do you guys have some quick answer, favorite things or favorite activity or anything? Could be anything.
I believe it was my freshman year. I got the chance to do a little a one night adventure to one of our so we have a cabin on campus and then we also have a lean-to. The lean-to's on one of our ponds and it's a little bit of a hike out there. And I got to do a leadership kind of training thing with it was mainly a lot of upperclassmen, but I was invited and it was we like cooked cinnamon buns and I know we had to like sleep with the container of cinnamon buns so they didn't freeze at night. And we slept in the lean-to and we got like teaching on how to be like a good leader and stuff. And I know that was really fun because I got to meet a ton of older upperclassmen that I hadn't met before and it was a great experience.
I would definitely say one of my favorite memories of Proctor is definitely the project period that I did last year, which was backcountry skiing in Vermont. It was my first time ever backcountry skiing, and it was actually in the like valley where I grew up skiing, which was really fun. So I got to experience like new parts of that, but it also kind of showed like it had a cool bunch of people also joined it, and we got to stay in this really awesome house, which is actually I believe it's an alumni's home, and he just rents it out to Proctor to do that one activity, which is awesome. But it was a great time because I met a lot of upperclassmen as well and got to kind of meet people who I never would have talked to before and experience a new activity that I probably would have never done before.
Thanks, fun. Anyone else? Just about out of time. If anyone else wants to share.
My favorite memory was last year, being a part of the football team winning the All NESPAC, just winning the All NESPAC league and getting the rings in the spring. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. Good memory. Lily or Lila? We'll close out after you guys.
Yeah, I'd say like for me, it's like the small and simple stuff. Like going on a hike on a weekend where I'm not as busy with friends, like, or like, I don't know, it's like small, simple moments. And yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, my favorite thing, kind of little things. Right now, what I'm thinking about is this kind of tradition that I have with some of my friends where we go to the gas station that's on campus and get snacks, and then we go home and we'll watch a series of movies or something on weekends and stuff, which is just something fun that I remember doing a lot and that I've done this year too.
Yeah, so getting that time with friends. It's built right in. Awesome. Well, it is 8:01. Sorry, I kept you 1 minute late, but thank you everyone for joining in the audience and all your questions. And thank you, students. And hope everybody has a good night and a good week. And we hope you come visit Proctor if you haven't seen us already.